PFF is running one of their biggest sales ever. 40% off a PFF Plus subscription right now using the promo code BLACKFRIDAY. That means that you get everything fully unlocked. You get the grades, you get the stats, you get all the fantasy advice, the betting advice, which our new player prop tool is available on web as well to make you a smarter, better. You've got all of the draft analysis, the free agency analysis, all of that great stuff. Subscribe.pff.com to get 40% off a year-long PFF Plus subscription. Get it now. We got the Buccaneers and the Rams here on Sunday Night Football, so you know we had to get Teron Armstead's take on this trench matchup. Tristan Wirfs, Luke Gedeke, Byron Young, Jared Verse, and so much more. Let's hear what Teron had to say about the Rams and the Bucs facing off on Sunday Night Football. All right, we're back with our guy, Teron Armstead, fresh off a trip across the pond to Madrid. Got to see the Dolphins win. Got to see your Dolphins get the dub. Talked a little bit before we hit record, ate some good food, lovely, but it's great to have you back, my friend, because we got a big matchup that we got to talk about here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive tackles going up against the Los Angeles Rams defensive ends. Now, I want to start this conversation, Teron, by asking you about how an offensive line really defends stunts. You know, then there's a lot of different terms for it. Stunts, twists, games. It's where the defensive linemen, they start in one spot, and then they're rushing all around, they're changing gaps, and they sort of make it almost like a simulated blitz type of a feel where you only have 4 down defensive linemen, but you force the offensive linemen to really communicate. The Rams, they've almost run the most snaps this season where they only have 4 down defensive linemen, so they trust those guys up front. And about a third of the time, they're running one of these stunts, games, twists, again, whatever you want to call it. So as an offensive lineman, how do you prepare for that? How do you defend that? What goes into the preparation and then the execution to defend a team that likes to keep 4 down linemen like that?
Yeah, when you get a team that's very efficient at running games, they are sure about who their penetrators are, and by penetrate I mean the guy that's like going to dent the protection, get into a gap, and make it hard to exchange with the offensive lineman next to you. You get those teams, you have to be on the same page as an O-line. Like the left guard, the left tackle, if you are setting aggressive, you both got to set aggressive. If you're setting vertical, you both got to set vertical. Like everybody needs to be on the same page so you're on the same plane whenever the exchange happens. So if it's a TE, and by TE, it's the defensive tackle first and the defensive end around. So the tackle first, end around. If that's the case, your left guard, left tackle has to be on the same page. Your left tackle has to be conscious about not creating a big B gap, because the bigger the B gap, the penetrator can get inside the B gap, and by the time the end loops around back inside the guard into the A gap, it's too late. So Tristan Wirfs, Gedeke, those guys will be using the technique what we call the drag arm. Drag arm is as you're setting, you're just putting a presence in that B gap. So hand out, it fully extended, keeping that presence in that B gap so you can feel for the defensive tackle, but keeping your eyes on the defensive end. So once that loop happens, you can make a quick and efficient transition.
These guys, Byron Young and Jared Verse, I feel like they're so twitchy, they're so explosive. That's sort of the thing that they go to, is being able to not just be explosive towards the quarterback, but also laterally. Is that what you have also seen from those two dudes about what makes them so difficult to defend? You know, I think Jared Verse gets a lot of attention on his side of the defensive line, but Byron Young's having a hell of a year, and I think it's because a lot of teams maybe looked at Jared Verse and like, man, we got slide protection this way. We got to make sure this guy doesn't wreck our day. And then Byron Young's like, hey, I'll take the single blocks. That's fine with me. What have you seen from these two guys?
Dynamic, man. That dynamic, explosive, dangerous, strong, relentless, motor, all of it. You know what I mean? They got the bases covered. These two they'll be a dynamic duo for a very long time. And then when you start to add in games, and you got Kobe Turner and Fisk, and it's an added element to your pass protection. So I'm trying to give Jared Verse my full attention. So both eyes on him. I want to put both hands on him. But at any moment, I can be getting picked, or I can get my inside shoulder can get attacked by Kobe Turner. And that's just, it creates another layer of preparation. Like I can't fully commit to Byron Young and Jared Verse because I have to be aware of this inside game. But these two guys are capable of beating you. You know what I mean? One-on-one. So it just adds so many different layers and elements, and it's really challenging, which is why they can just line up for and go get the job done.
So let's talk about that matchup between Jared Verse and Tristan Wirfs specifically. We know that the Rams are, like we said, going to want to switch things up. You got defensive tackles that are crashing down. You got defensive ends being the loopers, all that good stuff, and vice versa. They'll probably do plenty of that as well, the TE stunts and the ET stunts. When it comes to these two going one-on-one, though, Verse versus Wirfs, what is your lean on this matchup? Do you think one of them has a specific advantage, whether it's, physically, just the IQ, their style of play? What's your thoughts with these two guys going one-on-one against each other?
Yeah, Jared Verse, his superpowers is his power. His bull rush is elite. The best in the league. That's what he does. This week, he's going against a guy whose superpower is stopping power. Tristan Wirfs is a mammoth of a man. His anchor is elite. This is what he does. So I think from that standpoint, Tristan will be able to neutralize Jared Verse's power and his push that he creates on a weekly basis. So it'll be interesting to watch Jared Verse try to create other ways to win, winning with his hands, winning bending the edge, his quickness. Power, I don't see that being the go-to method this week against Tristan.
Look, as a Bucs fan, I hope you're right there, because they need a couple of wins here. They've been on a little bit of a slide, and it's a tough opponent to go up against in the Los Angeles Rams when you need a win. We know Jared Verse is going to get his, but hey, if Tristan could just get the better of the matchup, I think I'd probably sign up for that. I think Bucs fans would as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tron, I know you're going to watch it. We are too. Appreciate you joining, my friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
We know that the Bucs are really looking to get a big win here against the Rams out in LA, but Rams aren't looking to take their foot off the gas in any way, shape, or form. We know that as well. You want to talk about the Rams side of things, Dalton, or you want to talk about the Bucs?
I'm going to go on the other side and talk about the pass rush, or sometimes lack thereof, from the Bucs here. So I think one of the issues for the Bucs defense, we've talked about it this week, is their inability to get pressure, consistent pressure, without blitzing, right? Todd Bowles is known as a heavy blitzer, and he's always sending simulated pressures and things of that nature as well. But when they don't blitz, the Bucs are 20th in pass rush grade, the 13th in pressure rate, they're 14th in pass rush win rate. Against elite quarterbacks, they just don't get enough pressure with 4. Their real problem is, look, your problem is dealing with Matthew Stafford in general, but when he is not blitzed this year, he has a 92.7 passing grade. Trevor, that's 8 points higher than any other quarterback in the league. The way that he is seeing, and the way that he and Sean McVay can just pick apart the foundational core of your defense, especially if you only send 4, you've got a real problem. So I think Todd Bowles, the issue is he's going to have to make a choice between, do we not send pressure and sit back in coverage trying to deal with Nakua and Adams and all the assets they have on the outside for the Rams, or do we just send all of the pressure in the world knowing that the Rams at times struggle to pick it up? The other problem is if you do blitz him, Stafford's been really good then as well, right? He's actually the only quarterback in the top 6 in passing grade against a blitz or against a standard rush, and he's thrown 19 touchdowns against the blitz this year, Trevor. No one else has more than 10, so that's going to be the decision, as it is any week. I just think when you're dealing with Matthew Stafford and the absolute burner that he's on right now, what does Todd Bowles do? Does he try to confuse this offensive line and make Stafford get rid of it quickly, or if you let him sit back there, and you only rush 4, are your guys going to win that battle in time before he starts to shred you like he's done to everybody else? I think the pressure plan for Stafford and against Stafford for Todd Bowles in this game is going to be a huge part of the plan and what's going to happen here.
Yeah, look, Tampa does not have enough one-on-one winners on the defensive line. Without Hassan Reddick, they don't really have a player who is consistently high enough when it comes to pass rush win percentage to be able to get home. And that's been their issue all season long with Hassan Reddick out of the lineup anytime that's and he missed last week. He's going to miss this week as well. At least I haven't seen anything that tells me he's going to be back this week. But on the other side of things for the Buccaneers offense, you talk about guys who aren't in the lineup. I think we talk about this every single week. Well, they don't have Mike Evans. They don't have Chris Godwin. They don't have Bucky Irving. And those things are true. But I think that we have said those things and forgot to sort of put Baker Mayfield himself underneath the microscope. And when you look at Mayfield this season, obviously they started out really hot. But he's got 20 big-time throws. He's got 17 turnover-worthy plays as well. When you look at accuracy specifically, 58.2 accurate throw rate. That's only 32nd out of 43 qualifying quarterbacks that I used a minimum of 50 dropbacks for. And then when you talk about his 21.7% uncatchable inaccurate pass percentage, that's 36th out of 43 quarterbacks. So Mayfield's leaving meat on the bone. Whether he's throwing to Mike Evans or Chris Godwin or whoever it is, like those guys obviously aren't out there, but he is still missing as a quarterback. So he still needs to play better. It's not just about when those guys eventually come back, when they get Mike Evans back in December, when Chris Godwin eventually gets back in the lineup. Obviously, it'll help, but Mayfield also has to play better independently of different wide receivers being out there. And so this has sort of been a trend for Tampa. They've started hot, had a lull in the middle of the season, and then finished strong in each of, it feels like, the last 3 or 4 years. And in order for them to do it again, it's got to be Mayfield playing sharper than he has over the last couple of weeks. I am going to take the Rams in this one. They're at home. They're the hotter team. The Bucs just still don't have those one-on-one guys that I think that they need. It's a really tough opponent. I think Tampa is going to bounce back and finish strong, but I don't think that it starts this week. I'm going to go Rams 27, Bucs 20.
I'm with you. I like the Rams a lot in this game at home, and the way the Bucs have just gotten the high variance part of Mayfield's game has kind of been a problem, right? He's the 5th highest graded deep passer in the NFL, but on throws of under 20 yards, he's outside the top 25, both in the short and intermediate range. So, look, the deep ball variance is great. When it's working, it's really working. They can hit home runs, right? But with the home runs, are coming a lot of strikeouts right now in this Bucs offense. So I have Rams 31 and Bucs 21. I just think Matthew Stafford's on a heater. The Rams offense is rolling, and they got to be feeling really good about themselves after that win against Seattle last week.